Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to this new test ride video, which, as you can see, will feature her as the main character. TRK 702X, the off-road version with a nice 19-inch front wheel, knobby tires, and spoked rims. It differs little from the 702 street version behind us, which has 17-inch front and rear wheels with regular, not spoked rims. And it's a bit less in terms of basic accessories, like the lack of a center stand and a less adjustable rear suspension compared to the model that's being tested today. Enough talking, though, because we need to talk about her and we have a lot to say. I've seen mixed reviews online about this one, which has been one of the queens. 2023 and also 2024 in terms of sales. Intro and let's get started. Let's begin, guys. So this test ride is about talking a bit about the history of Benelli, which is making a comeback on the market after many years of models that have come and gone, and not with the little sister of the 702, the 502, and the 502X. A really important success for this bike, which I remember well at the beginning, even put Benelli in a tough spot because maybe even they didn't expect all these bikes. So it turned out to be ideal for those who wanted a touring bike similar, let's be honest, to a GS, but with an A2 license, the main lever that Benelli really focused on. Over time, we realized they were right after years with the 500 and 502X. The various feedback from customers was listened to by Benelli, who brought out this version with a bit more power, a bigger 698cc engine, larger dimensions, and, if you will, even more suitable for traveling. The 502 lets you travel, but only at 130 on the highway. I have to say that the bike wasn't struggling, but it was revving high. You could feel the vibrations, and quite a lot, so definitely having a more powerful engine on this new model was the logical choice to make. But let's start, as we usually do, with the riding comfort. How is it on board this Benelli 702X? This version, as I mentioned before, differs from the model without the X, due to some technical component changes that make it more suitable for off-road riding. The riding position is quite relaxed and comfortable. There's a wide handlebar, which I really like. It's much higher than the steering plate, of course. And this clearly makes it easier for both touring and enduro riding. In fact, if we want to do a bit of off-road riding, having the handlebar closer to us is definitely a plus. That's no small thing, because it allows us to ride standing up while still maintaining good control of the handlebar. The seat is well padded, very comfortable. I have to say, the seating position is really far back while the foot pegs are slightly forward. We're basically on a two-wheeled couch, but that's something I noticed right away, and we'll go into more detail about it later. It's mainly the brake, which could have been more effective, but we'll discuss that. As for riding in the city, the bike, having a 19-inch front wheel, doesn't really give you an agile feeling. To be honest, I feel it's rather heavy when changing direction, and that's also because these wheels have to carry the over 230 kilograms of this 702X as stated by Benelli. Another thing you notice when riding at high RPMs is the vibrations, which you really feel a lot on the foot pegs, even though there are rubber inserts to dampen these vibrations on the footrests. And even though it's less noticeable, on the handlebars we have a real Tessmet effect, which I find really annoying on the foot pegs, while on the handlebars, all things considered, you can live with it. We are equipped as standard with knobby tires, so let's say the bike is designed to be ready to go out and do a bit of off-road riding, which unfortunately, alas, most people who buy the bike with spoked wheels, let's be honest, never actually do. Then off-road. So my question is, why the hell do you even buy it then? And since we're talking about setup, I'd like to start discussing the chassis. Suspension. Up front, we have 50mm upside-down forks, which in the X version are slightly softer and have more travel, specifically to better support off-road riding, compared to the standard version, which has stiffer forks with less travel, but still maintains the same height. And at the rear, there's a single shock absorber, as I mentioned at the beginning, which has all the necessary adjustments: rebound, compression, and preload adjustment. On the single shock, unlike the street version, we don't find the hydraulic adjustments for compression and rebound. Let's use this small dead end straight to see how long it takes to rev up. And I have to say that the 702, just like the 502, confirms itself as a bike that doesn't really shine when it comes to top-end performance. If the engine had a bit more pep, a bit more horsepower, it definitely would have been more fun. Let's wrap up the discussion about the chassis by talking about the brakes, which I want to highlight in this review, because right from the first braking, the feeling wasn't good. We have an axial pump, not very sharp, connected with braided hoses. It has 4-piston calipers with 320mm semi-floating discs. Let's say that on paper, the braking system doesn't seem to be bad. It's a pity that in practice, when we actually grab the lever, we really have to apply a lot of pressure to stop. That's it. Now that we've covered the chassis, I'll briefly discuss the engine, though honestly, I've already told you what needed to be said, but I should mention the bike has some on-off throttle response issues. When we get back on the throttle, as you can see, it just goes boom, a sudden jolt, but without any real reason. Also because, honestly, there's no need for it. Here we are, we catch a nice red light, which also gives us a chance to test the standing start. A blazing acceleration for this TRK. Well, not really. But we do have a chance to take a closer look at it during this break. In terms of aesthetic feel, the bike doesn't look bad at all. There are some really nice finishing touches. For example, the control switches, which I should point out are backlit, and the way it looks when you see it parked on the stand, it actually looks pretty good. The problem is when you get on it, you still get that cheap feeling. That feeling is justified by the bike's price, which is under 8,000 euros. So don't expect to spend this amount and get the very best that you can have in the motorcycle world. You don't have a GS in your garage, that's important. That Benelli owners, from my experience in dealerships and workshops, I've heard everything. People keep saying, it has some noise, or it does this or that. But guys, it's basically a plastic bike. It's fine for what you need it for. It brings people much closer to big touring bikes or enduro bikes, but still, it costs what it costs. Very nice, though, I have to say. Even if it's a bit small, the screen up front is easy to read decently, not perfectly under the light. But anyway, I really like the fact that it has extra Bluetooth connectivity. With the phone, there's the possibility to do updates, also from what I've seen in the service section through the phone. Even though in the end, if we really want to nitpick, it does suffer a bit from lag. You see, it revs up a bit late compared to when I hit the gas, but honestly, it's not a big deal. In the end, it's not that important, since you really shouldn't be looking at the display while driving anyway. It's a shame there's no electronic shifter, because I would have really appreciated that. That extra feature at this price might have convinced me to say, you know what? But all things considered, it's got this feature too, which isn't bad. Let's try the launch. Oh my goodness. Blazing. Since we're talking about the display, let's also open a small parenthesis about the electronics on this bike. There's really not much. There's no electronic shifter, there's the thin film transistor display, there's ABS, which is obviously mandatory by law, so we have that. But what makes me a bit skeptical, after reading Benelli's technical specs, is the fact that there aren't any engine maps. I would have liked to find a road or street mode, you know, something normal for daily use, and maybe a reduced power version like a wet mode. It's true that the horsepower isn't that high, but when you're in conditions like wet or damp asphalt, it wouldn't be bad to have it. And another thing, unfortunately, the ABS is always on. There's actually no way to turn it off, so even when we're doing enduro, it's still present in the engine. ABS just came to mind since I'm talking about it. It's a slipper clutch, so if we downshift a bit aggressively and the engine revs up, the slipper clutch prevents the rear wheel from locking and therefore from hopping. It was pretty easy. Actually, I realized there was no need for this explanation. You could already tell from the name, but anyway, I told you. The last thing, which wraps up the electronics discussion, is the full LED headlight, the optical unit. So it's been revised compared to the 502 model, which also gives it a much more appealing, nicer look. We've arrived on the shores of Lake Bracciano. We're in Anguillara, and I'd say that at this point, as we start a short stretch of curves, it's time to try it out. Exactly, during a few situations, It's not straightforward, so let's be patient, but above all, courageous. Let's go check out how this bike handles, how this brake works properly. Okay, the brake. No, guys, the brake slows down. It doesn't stop. And it's the first time, guys, that, to be honest, I feel the need to brake with the rear as well. Let's see if it likes to be ridden a bit more like a sport bike. Here's a nice curve. Stick your knee out. The bike is tall. Guys, I feel the front is really high, you know. It doesn't give me confidence. There's also a bit of understeer. It tends to close up when you're in tight corners. We always have to be a bit careful on hairpins. I'm not sure if this is really because of the 19 in the front, you know, or if also the version, load version, suffers from the same problem. Let's get out too, so we can take a look at the situation. But this is off-road. Let's go check it out. This is enduro. Come on, it's enduro. Let's try it for enduro. Let's do this thing. We've come this far, but now I'm unsure since it ends here. Here, it's all fields. Can I go through? The guys from Moto will take it. No, they won't take it. They'll let me try it. I have to tell you, I'm about to throw it into the field. It's an experience I probably should have avoided. With the first bike Moto lent me for a test ride, and for that I thank them. Oh my goodness, we made holes in the ground from the impact. Oh, stay calm. Stay very calm. Let's go see what we've done. No, we did it. The field is the same as before. Come on, we've done a little something. Yes, come on. We've done a little bit. Maybe it's the weight. Maybe it's the engine torque at low revs. Come on, there it is. There it is. I'm throwing it. Wow, Madonna, I have to tell you, I had a lot of fun in this part, just off the record. With this guy and the Panda, I go off the field. Who knows what he thought? Okay, come on. Positive, stock tread, tested. This is nice, too. No, you see the field, you just throw yourself in. Who cares? But then you make it, you do it, you see your little curves. Oh, no, good. So, honest opinion. And here I want you to look me in the face, because not everyone tells you this stuff, actually. Maybe only a few of us have told you, or will tell you. If it had a bit more horsepower, a bit more torque, and less vibration, it would have been really, really nice. Oh, we shouldn't just throw it away. Ultimately, we need to adopt the mindset Benelli may be trying to convey. It's about a maxi enduro that's a bit easier, suitable for people who maybe want to go step by step, not just increase the power. Let's put it this way, but in the end, for not even 8,000 euros, I don't feel like rejecting it. It's nice, it already comes with USB and USB-C ports right there, so you don't have to buy adapters, you don't have to buy anything. Everything is already set up from the factory. Nice, no, beautiful, nice. Benelli 702X with 76 horsepower available. And a torque of 68 Newton meters. Is that enough to have fun? The answer is yes. As you have seen, the dual nature of this bike promises you can ride on the road and off-road without any trouble. It's important, and above all, it's fun. In fact, let's say it takes a bit of the spirit from its little sister, 502X. Although the bike isn't without flaws, the 7,490 euro price tag, let's say it should ease the urge to look for something else. At this price, I have to say that bikes like this are hard to find. I recommend buying it if you're a beginner, if you want a bike that's not too demanding, that allows you to do a bit of everything and go pretty much anywhere without having too many expectations. And with that, we've reached the end of this test drive. I thank you for watching, and I thank again Moto, and I invite you to visit the showroom team to try this and other models. Check out the motorcycles available for test rides. That's it from Freccia Verde. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe with the red button. Then activate the bell and leave a like comment below.